All right, so up next, we're going to go over some NFL quarterback stories that are currently trending in the NFL right now. The first one that we're going to go over is going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr just signed a 4-year, $150 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. He is expected to be the starting quarterback for the Saints for the foreseeable future, and he's going to take the reins to potentially lead the Saints to a more successful future, basing on the fact that the Saints fell short in making the playoffs this past season. So, Kev, to kick this one to you, what do you make of the Saints signing Derek Carr to a 4-year, $150 million deal?
From an overall football perspective, from a personnel perspective, I think this is great. Yes, he's leaving Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. However, he is gaining, I have to put this in quotation marks, the potential of Michael Thomas being healthy, who hasn't played basically in the last 3 years. But if he's healthy, Chris Olave's healthy, Jawan Jones is coming out to be a good, successful tight end in this league. Alvin Kamara is there. Mark Ingram is there. The offensive line of the Saints has been good. You have the dual threat capability of Taysom Hill. I think that the offense of the Saints is good and is going to do well for him, and he has a solid defense behind him, which he has not had his entire career. My issue with this is the Saints cap. The Saints have not been under the cap in the last 3 to 4 years. We're talking I think Nick Wright a couple of days ago made an analysis and did some research and digging. The Saints have been paying almost a quarter of their salary to players that are not on their team over the last couple of seasons, because you have to cut players to make room for the players you're giving extensions. Basically, what that means is when you're guaranteed a certain amount of money and you cut a player before the fiscal year begins or during the season, they're still owed a specific amount of money that counts towards your team's total cap throughout that season. And if you're still paying them and they're not on the roster, that's wasted salary cap. That's wasted money. And you gave Derek Carr $100 million guaranteed. There's a rumor and a report that Michael Thomas is working on an extension, not a restructure, an extension to his $100 million contract that he just received just a few years ago. I'm not understanding where the Saints are getting this money. Cam Jordan got paid. There's a couple of other players on the Saints. Alvin Kamara got paid a few years ago. I mean, where Marcus Lattimore got paid last season or 2 years. Like, I'm not comprehending where the Saints are getting these funds from. How are you playing so negative in your salary cap year in and year out without punishment? I understand wholeheartedly here, right, that the Saints are a multi-billion-dollar franchise, but the fact that there are no repercussions to basically just paying players and letting others go on a regular year in and year out basis, I don't know what the Saints are going to do come the next few years during Derek Carr's tenure, because they may have to start letting assets go because they don't have enough money to pay them. So, from a football perspective, I think this is a good move for Derek Carr. Again, a real defense behind him with good personnel, solid young core in front of him. Again, prevying Michael Thomas can stay healthy. This can be good. And with the NFC South being wide open now that Tom Brady has retired, I think the Saints can make some noise. It's a good fit, but there's just a massive question mark with the salary cap.
Yeah, and as far as I see it, Kev, I really don't have much to add. I think this just comes down to whether Derek Carr can be able to provide a better service at the quarterback position compared to the last couple quarterbacks that they've had at the helm. I mean, when you look at the last couple of years, it's been Jameis Winston, it's been Andy Dalton, Taysom Hill at times, and guys of that magnitude or that level, they've shown some flashes to be pretty consistent. Jameis a couple of years ago looked like he was having a little bit of a resurrection with his career, and then he gets hurt, unfortunately, and he's kind of just been in this kind of like teeter-totter situation where he might be the starter one day, maybe not the next. So the quarterback room in New Orleans has been shaky at best over the last couple of years. It stabilizes now with Derek Carr being that stabilizing force to that quarterback position, and he's got some decent targets to throw to, like you said, Kev, in your analysis. I think with what you said, the way that the NFC South is open for anybody to take advantage of this year, I think this puts the Saints in an advantageous situation. And who knows, maybe they can, get to a above 500 record, potentially win the NFC South, and then maybe they can get to the divisional round. I like the fact that they did sign Derek Carr. He's a decent quarterback in the NFL. I think if they were potentially looking at Aaron Rodgers or someone like that, that would have just been insane, because I don't think you really want to deal with that drama and any sort of contract in regards to him. But overall, I think this puts the Saints in a decent situation for next year, and it stabilizes that quarterback room for the next couple of years.